coming tonight. This is a meeting of the Heights Historic Preservation Commission. I'm going to read something for you from the date. In accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, BL 1975, notice of this meeting was posted on the bulletin board designed for that purpose, and notice was transmitted to the official newspapers provided by resolution adopted January 29, 2017. This commission is only an advising arm of the planning board. So when we are done, we will be giving recommendations to them on how we have deliberated and come up with whatever our end product is, I guess. So I'll let the members introduce themselves to you. I'm Carol Arrow.
Chris Morgan. I'm Brad Smith.
George Murphy.
And John Reminger.
All right, we'll approve the minutes at this point. Is there anybody that's having any issues with the minutes? No? Everything's good? All right. Moved and seconded that we approve the minutes. And, I'm sorry, what the vote is. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded. We will approve the minutes. February. All right, tonight we have we actually have three applications. We're going to start with 616 Station Avenue. All right, why don't you come on up? Hi there. Sorry, there used to be a table there where you could sit, but tell us your name, please.
Margaret Brown.
All right, tell us what you'd like to do. Yeah, maybe.
It's going to be a long review.
I
Okay.
think you can take the microphone out and stand if you want.
Gotcha.
Or you should be able to slide it right down,
There you
yeah.
go.
All right. There we go. Is that good?
Good. All right, tell us what you'd like to do.
I would like to put a sign on my storefront. I believe you have all the drawings. So, and then it matches my logo that I'll be like supporting the baseball team with and local teams around here, so it'll all look alike. And that's all I want to do. Now, I believe my contractor, my sign guy, he did adjust the sizing.
Oh, good.
Right, I don't know if he got that to you, but, I believe it was, the planning board, I guess, I forget what you call them, but she said it was 7, it has to be 6 inches, but he's aware of that, so.
Okay. So he was going to adjust it.
Yeah,
He's gonna adjust it down.
it is adjusted to that correct size.
Okay.
I just found out about the meeting, there was a mix-up on, the mail and the phone call, so thank God I found out about it. But anyway, or I would have had I didn't know if he sent them over or not, no?
Okay.
This is 6 inches and 4 inches.
Oh, he did, correct. Oh, okay, so it was okay.
Mhm. It's going to be, when we're looking at the picture, the black background, that's what it's going to look.
Yeah, it's gonna be solid black, it's just gonna be like the lettering,
Okay.
but I believe it's all in one piece. But the background will be black, it'll match the whole building, so it'll appear just like the letters.
All right. And no brick has been painted, is that correct?
No brick.
It's already black.
Yeah, the only thing that was ever painted black was the existing wood or whatever, the frame of the window. There's nothing, the whole building wasn't touched or anything like that. It was just that frame of the window.
There's awnings there now, correct?
What's that?
There's awnings there now?
Is there a building there?
Awnings.
No awnings.
Okay.
About the font, I didn't, anybody have any comment on the font? We usually like to have the font in the serif position up on the top, but I don't know if this is something that looks a little different. I don't think that's-
The top font is that your logo?
Yes. That's like, kind of, yeah, that's how all my logos are printed out with that letter.
Do you have more than one location?
No, but I like my business cards and, for instance, like Oakland and Haddon Heights, I'm advertising on their baseball fields. So that'll be the logo. It's just that look. Yeah, that's what's being printed out.
Yeah. Where's the motion?
Yeah.
I make a motion that we approve the application as written.
Second.
All right, thank you. Well, it's been moved and seconded that we approve your sign and, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I just love my grandsons. He's a senior. It was his last basketball game that I lost. We raced up here from down by Atlantic City somewhere. I do apologize for that. All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, it's passed. Thank you.
All right,
Thank you
thank
very
you.
much. Welcome.
Thank you.
Nice. Yes. Look forward to what you're saying. So next is 23 First Avenue.
Hello.
There.
I'm Robert Ignari, I'm the architect for Athena and Ben Newton. They're here with me tonight.
I'm sorry, we can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Is that better?
No.
Is that microphone?
We need to be a little closer.
How's that?
You're working on
Better?
it. It's green. I think it's on. I
It's
don't
on.
know.
I don't know what else to do. How's that? It's not working? No.
It's on, it's on.
I just figured for you. How's that? Is that better? Yeah.
You have to speak up. We can't hear you.
Okay, I'm Robert Ignari, I'm the architect for Athena and Ben Newton, 23 First Avenue is the project. I have color versions of the
I'm
photographs.
sorry, what are we talking about? Give us your name, please.
Robert Ignari,
You spell that last name?
Ignarri.
So cool. Okay. All right, so yes, please, tell us what you are here for. This is for 23 First Avenue.
Yes, we're proposing, there's two pieces to the puzzle. One is an addition to the back of the house. It's a one-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house now. We're going to proposing to add a main bedroom with bath, full bath, and then expand the kitchen below that on the first floor. And the addition is set within the side of the existing house on each side. The house sits in non-conformance because of the narrow lot. So the addition will be non-conforming, and we understand we'll have to go to the planning board. But the new design, it is set in from what's existing now. And then on the front of the house, there's an existing applique of a sort of a federal, it's a broken cornice with an acorn decoration. we're proposing to remove that and put one eye design that's a little bit deeper to provide more protection at the front door.
Pieces, let's just get to that. I just want to see what you're talking about that you're moving. But the little, yeah, the door.
And I have color photographs of that. Same photographs.
So tell me again what you're gonna move?
In the front, there's an applique that's, it's a casing around the door, and it has a broken pediment with an acorn decoration, sort of a federal style. It's basically a Georgian house, I think. We're proposing to remove that, and in its place, put a custom one that I've designed on the drawings that provides for a bit of an overhang. It has a flat tip roof and, an entablature that's, I think, appropriately designed for the style. And it's bracketed, so there's no new posts. We're keeping the stoop and steps as they are. We're trying to size it so we don't disturb any of the existing brick, and you can keep the lighting locations the same, and you would replace the lights. And I showed 2 different options for the lights on the drawings as well that we're proposing right now. We're open to any suggestions, but the whole intent was to get a little bit more coverage on the front stoop without, affecting the character of the house.
And those are the only changes that are going to be visible from the street for the property. All of the other additions that you proposed, as far as I can tell from this submission, nothing's going to be visible from the sidewalk.
You get just a glimpse on the right side of the back addition towards the back, but other than that, the left side is set almost to the middle of the house. You won't see that at all.
And the roof changes you propose, it's going to be basically,
It's lower than the main roof, but it's the same pitch as the main roof. It comes at a 90-degree angle as far as the ridge. Same roofing material. The siding is the same siding that's on the back of the house now. The front is brick.
thanks.
Curious about I'm curious about the new door that looks like it's coming in when you're looking at the house on the left-hand side. Is that set back a bit?
The new door, the front door,
This is the,
Yes, but
this is the back.
it's just sticking out, that's new. It's a new door.
Well, I'm not sure.
That's what I meant.
Oh.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, when I'm looking at this on the back of the house, there's a gray door.
On the
So that's a
back.
new one,
Yeah,
a
there's
new
a
door.
patio door in the back.
Yep, yes.
Yeah.
But that's going to be part of the addition?
Yes, but it's in the back of the house. It faces the backyard.
Okay, but it would protrude over into, when you look at the front of the house, would be protruding over on the side? I suppose I'm standing on the sidewalk.
Oh, no,
I would see that.
no, you wouldn't see that.
Okay.
Yeah, not from the front. So the addition's all to the back. It's more
I just thought maybe this was like a little overhanging thing here.
The one on the front is an overhang. That's gonna project forward towards the street 2 feet. Right now, only projects about 3 inches.
I think the confusion is when you look at the plan that you submitted, if you're looking at the rear view of the house, there's a gray area on what would be the left side, and it makes it look like that's going to be a new part of the
Oh,
addition.
it's in shade shadows.
Yes,
That's
it's-
why.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the existing back garage, actually.
Yes, I was just a little, not concerned, but I just wanted to know.
No, that's a good question.
What was really going on.
I actually colored a floor plan that shows it more clearly. It would help you.
Okay, sure, whatever you have, we're happy to see.
Stand back. Just stand up here. So this is the site plan. And
Would you mind just walking around
Sure.
here and coming over? No, sorry.
so this is the first floor plan. The pink is the addition. The yellow is the existing house. The part you're speaking of is this door here that goes in the back. So that's shade and shadow. Then this is the upstairs. The pink again is the addition. This is the existing house. So we kept the addition within the footprint of the main house.
This is hard to see in here, but that's the main house all the way. This is the addition. So the only thing we're doing in the front is the little kind of canopy roof. And then there's another house here with a two-story addition, so you just get most of this corner, just barely. And on this side, there's a one-story family room here. You can't even see the windows like that because of the elevation page there. Which is this jet. It's the last sheet. Yeah, so in the front, that's all we're doing in the front, and then this is all the existing house. And the addition sits back here. And this is the addition. That's an existing family house. And then this is the back of the garage, and that's the door to the garage. It's new door, but that's going into the garage. So that's the addition here.
So what's the new canopy, what's the proposed canopy going to be made of?
It's, we were gonna use AZAC with paint with 2 coats of an exterior paint. I always like to do that, so it replicates wood. Then the roof is aluminum, slate gray, and I have a sample I can show you. And then these 2 brackets are shown here, which I'm sorry. There's a detail of the canopy.
First page one.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, so these are all maintenance-free products that we painted. And then these are Hinkley brand white, which is a decent brand of, dark bronze color. And then I have an aluminum standing seam roof, and I can show you a sample of that. Slate gray we're proposing. We're open to different suggestions on the color. But the edges are sharp. So that would be, and you would barely see that because it's a 3 and 12 pitch. It's a hip. It's a hip back. Now, if you want, I actually have photographs of between the houses so you can see the view.
Excellent.
So, this is the Eden's house, and this is the view on the right side, and this is the view on the left side. On this side, you won't see the addition because it's set behind the existing home. And these are just houses across the street.
The planning board set for setbacks?
Yeah, the property is not conforming and the building is not conforming as we're, expanding non-conformities. Does that all make sense?
Yes.
That question, how you had existing and proposed on every page of the building.
I was on the HPC Meeting for years.
Were you?
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Anything else?
No. Good.
Make a motion to approve the application as submitted.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, then.
Thank you.
You're all set then. Thank you so much for calling in.
Oh, no problem.
Our next applicant is 501, 503 Station Avenue. That are looking to demolish the building that's there and put up a large apartment with, I think it's about 12 units.
We can grab a couple more chairs. You guys want to bring them up. You can switch off. However you want to do it.
Are we able to move the TV out?
Yeah. How do you want to face it?
I'm not saying that.
All right. You, gentlemen, want to tell us who you are, please?
Yes, Anthony G. Welling, one of the owners of 501, 503 Station Avenue.
Okay.
Derek Spencer from Gnome Architects.
Cliff White from Stantec Consulting, civil engineer.
All right, so here we are. You've been here a couple times already, right? And we have, you're calling it the historic review presentation, and I think, I saw something about it being, I guess what I was thinking about was that, and you know, of course, you'll have to get variance for a couple of different things here, so that's okay. But this is an ongoing application. Why don't you start with the presentation, maybe that would be a good place to start.
Yeah, we just wanted to come back in front of the board one more time before we submit next week to planning. Get the final recommendations.
Yeah, I can take over. if you want.
Derek, we let Derek Spencer, our architect, walk up there.
Did you want to go through the slides?
Yeah, we can
Okay.
start going through the slides.
All right.
So we're really here, this is a lot of the same renderings that we may have seen last time. Last time, if you remember, the meeting was split just to discuss the demolition of the existing building and not really review the new design. So we're really now here just to talk about reviewing the proposed design.
See it better.
So as mentioned, this is a 12-unit apartment mixed-use building with 12 residences at the second and third floors. It's a 3-story building with no cellar. Right now, we're proposing 2 commercial spaces at the ground floor, shown here in both blue and purple. Those 2 spaces will be fronting on Station Ave. Around on the White Horse Pike side is where we have the residential lobby, and then we also have a curb cut for rear-loaded parking behind the building, where we have 6 parking stalls. This is the second floor plan. So you see we have 3 units in the front of the building and 3 units facing the rear. We have some kind of angled bays on the building, bay windows that kind of match some of the existing character of the street. You can see that we have 2 stairwells for egress. We have an elevator in the center of the building, so everything is ADA accessible. Every single unit will be Type B ADA accessible. We have a trash room on each floor that will have a trash chute that goes down to the first floor for trash collection. Third floor is just a repeat of the second floor, just another 6 units. And we are proposing a rooftop deck. Half of the rooftop deck will be for residences of the building, and there's another smaller rooftop deck on the backside of the building that'll be accessed for the commercial spaces only. This is a section of the building. On the left-hand side would be Station Ave, and then where the car is on the right-hand side, that'll be the parking area underneath the building. It's tucked underneath. So you can see we have 35 or 36 feet, sorry, it's a little small to see, up to the rooftop deck. Here's just
Can we just look at that a moment again, that?
Absolutely.
That last one? Because
When I look at this, I see that it's the mixed use, of course, so it'd be the retail down the bottom. First floor, the second floor, and then the third floor. It doesn't look like that. It looks like there are 3 plus another level for the roof garden, making it more like 4 levels in the building.
Well, there's an accessible rooftop that will have a green roof and, essentially a roof deck. There is a pilot house structure that helps get you up there. It's kind of like a penthouse, but that's not, by the building code, not considered a floor. It's just a roof access structure.
And what would be, if I'm looking at it from Station Avenue, what would be the safety factor of the parapet that would be on that?
Yeah, so if you want to flip back to the roof deck plan, here you can see that we have an 8-foot setback from the front where the cornice is to where the roof deck is. You can also see this illustrated here. So we have green roof kind of surrounding all of the roof deck areas, and then we have a railing at the edge of the roof deck that'll be a code compliant 42-inch railing. That'll be 8 feet setback. Just to keep the visual mass of the building low, we're just proposing a 12-inch parapet around the majority of the building. So we can see, we have a few renderings in our presentation later in the presentation where you can actually see the view from Station Ave, and you can see that there really isn't much that you can see of the pilot house, and I don't think you can see any of the setback railing.
Okay, why don't you go on?
So this here is just a diagram of other 3-story buildings or buildings over 30 feet in our surrounding 1-block radius. So you can see there's quite a number of buildings that are 3 stories or over 30 feet. This is just another representation calling out those buildings. You can see our site highlighted in yellow. And when designing the building, we really took the time to study the existing buildings that are up and down Station Ave. There's quite a mix of architectural styles, but we wanted to try to incorporate some of the most prevalent features. So on the left, we have some projected bay windows with double hung windows. On the third image, you can kind of see how the storefront is treated, where there's a double door that's set back from the property line. Gives a little bit of coverage to the door for people coming and going. And then the storefront glass is up at the property line. And then the last image on the right, you can see kind of like a navy blue ornamental cornice with some corbels. Next image, just another few images from some buildings up and down Station Ave that incorporate red brick, cast stone, different color painted trim, as well as, again, on the left, you have a bay window with double hung windows and a storefront glass with the sign painted right on the glass, which is something we're proposing as well. So here is our first rendering. So you can see the majority of the building is red brick with some wood or AZEK trim that'll be painted kind of a navy blue color, and then we have some red accents in the trim painted as well. The first floor around the main commercial space is set in 7 feet from the property line, just at the first floor. That kind of provides a covered arcade. That could be used for cafe seating, for people to kind of gather and talk, and that also was a talking point with Planning Commission early on about site safety at that intersection and opening up the sight lines a little bit more for both pedestrians and vehicles. This is a rendering of the backside of the building. So you can see the parking tucking under the building there on the right. One of the comments we got last time was that the building felt too massive and we wanted to find a way to break up the building mass. So you can see that we're recessing 2 areas on the back of the building to break the mass up between brick and then transitioning to a siding material with a small balcony in between. So this really breaks up the back of the building to look like it's 3 buildings fronting on Station Avenue.
Can I ask you again? I'm sorry. Did you go back to the one before this one? To this one? And I know we've talked about this. So I'm looking at where the cars would enter, let's say, and there's that black void there. It has some, potted whatever's in there, but is that where you have the doors for them to go in? And
No.
if that's true, what would be the windows on the right-hand side? That looks like it's another chunk.
Yeah, so the windows to the right of that, that's the entrance door for the residences to use. Things are just showing up on the TV a little bit darker than normal. That's just an area that's just in shade. So nothing is proposed to be black, but that's just the wall where everything recesses from the street.
Right, but there's glass in the rest of the building on the first level, and there isn't there, so.
Correct, yeah, there's not on that perpendicular wall.
Mhm. So what will it be?
Just the side, the blue siding that you see everywhere else.
Will be a window there?
Not on that one piece of wall. It's a 7-foot piece of wall. We could certainly introduce a window there if that's of interest.
It's on the other side of that, is that part of the commercial space or the lobby?
Actually, if you want to flip back to the first floor plan, I can point that area out to you. Yeah, so that wall you're seeing, it's just this little strip of wall right
Which
here.
number that is?
Page number 2. So yes, it is the commercial space behind that wall. Like I said, it's just that 7-foot piece of wall. So we have windows on all the walls of the commercial space that are fronting the street. We have windows on the whole way around. This little area of wall, we chose not to put a window, but if that's of interest, we can certainly put one there.
Might make it look a little more smooth all the way.
Sure
all the
thing.
way through, but I'm not suggesting at this point. So go ahead, we stopped at page 11, I think, aren't we?
Yeah, so this here is just really a straight-on view on Station Ave. So you can see the one, again, it's a little dark, sorry about the shadows there, but the one commercial space on the left has that very iconic entrance to the commercial spaces that you see up and down the street with the double doors just set in from the storefront. And then on the right, you can see where we have the planter boxes. That's where we have the commercial space set back for that covered arcade for some seating. And then you can see a little bit more of the trim work here, the ornamental cornice up at the top of the building, as well as the bay windows with the blue and the red trim and the double hung windows.
How many commercial or retail spaces will there be down on the first level?
We're proposing 2, but there's a chance that those could always get combined if one tenant came along that wanted all the space. This here is just more of an experiential view on the street as you're walking down the sidewalk. You can get a little bit more of a sense of the materials, the navy blue siding. We're proposing some wall sconces along the walls and the pillars along the sidewalk to illuminate the sidewalk a little bit, as well as the building. This is from that same spot, just looking up at the building. You can get a sense for what that ornamentation looks like on those bays and how it's very similar to a lot of the other buildings up and down the street. And here's a view right at the corner. Right now, there's a Welcome to Haddon Heights sign that would be going away that's on the site, so we wanted to bring in some of that signage. We tried to match the font as best we can. I think we talked about the font before in previous meetings. We have that serif font in there. We have that the same bronze color that the same bronze metal that the wall sconces would be as well. This is just some material call-outs. You can see the bronze letters, the navy blue siding at the base. You can see some different brick patterns we're using. We are using mostly a running bond pattern. Between some of the windows, we're introducing a stack bond pattern just for a little ornamental accent there. We do have a cast stone band along the bottom of the building. As is traditional with a lot of buildings, There'd be a limestone course for a few inches above the sidewalk. So we're introducing that as well. And that helps get some of the trim material up off the ground just for any, to mitigate any issues with water. Now, it was requested that we take the rendering and we set it into an actual picture of the site. So this was an actual picture I went out and took from across the intersection. And then we photoshopped into scale exactly what that building would look like and how it fits in with its surroundings.
I think that, could we stay there just a moment, please? I think that is perhaps, at least for to a historic preservation person, it's a little alarming how big it is compared to the building there on the right of it, along the right.
Yeah, so I will just remind you, I mean, everything is in perspective here. So our building is about the exact same height as that building next door. So just, that building's another 50, 60 feet beyond us, so,
Yes, but maybe you could help me out here. When I understand from talking to some people that the property to the left, which would be down Station Avenue, right now it's a specialty dentist and there's a parking lot there. That those two properties have also been purchased by you, or, okay, because it was some kind of a conversation about them, which would make that be twice as long down the street, the exact building. Okay, I just wanted to set it straight.
There's been no conversations
Okay,
of
but-
purchasing.
Okay, just wanted to set it straight. Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
So this is just a view of the building from the other angle with that dentistry shop next door. You can kind of see again, we are going to have a party wall. So, there was talks of what's going to be on that party wall since, we can't have any windows by code along that wall. So we were, saying maybe there's a mural or some type of other graphic that can go on that wall. So we have some height comparisons here just so you can really see things in true elevation, just so we can kind of, accurately compare our building height to the other buildings around us. So 200 White Horse Pike directly across the street from us on Station Ave. We are about the exact same height as that building, at about 35 feet. And then along the elevation along Station Ave, there's a building at 520 Station Ave that we are, the peak of their roof is actually a bit taller than our roof. And that's the last page of our presentation.
On page 17, the lighting, can you just explain what direction the light's actually shining? Is it up, down, how?
Yeah, so it's going to be shining back towards the building and then also up and down. So we'll kind of illuminate the column with it and have some more indirect light to the sidewalk. We didn't want to have anything that was, blasting light out that might, get in the eyes of drivers or cause glare or anything like that. So it's really more, indirect light.
Can we go back to page 12? I just want to talk a little bit about the materials here. What material are you proposing for the white boxes?
So that would be a fiber cement lap shutter.
And how about in the parking area, same material?
Same material, yeah.
And that was in response to someone suggesting that the massing was too long.
Yeah, we had it as all brick across the back, and there was some comments that it just looks too massive. Could be introduced ways to break up the mass a little bit more. So that's why we introduced the balcony, and then where it's kind of like the lightest material between the last two sets of windows. It's like a light well that kind of cuts into the building. So again, it kind of breaks up the mass of the building to look like three individual buildings along with it.
Yeah, I think that's very successful. I personally think it should just be brick the whole way across. I think that would be more consistent with all the other vernacular.
We thought so as well.
Representation
Last time,
we have here.
it was requested that we change it, but we're again happy to take feedback into consideration.
Do you have any objection to putting it all brick?
Our original design was all brick.
Yeah,
We were asking
yeah,
to change it.
I just want to make sure that
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's no fine with us, yeah.
Okay, I wonder now if anybody has any questions about the site plan.
I just have a few more questions on the presentation. There's actually a good slide for it. So when you're coming down the White Horse Pike and you're looking, this is what you're gonna see, right? There's no other screening for the parking lot other than that landscaping?
Correct. We wanted to keep it low just because we wanted to make sure that any visibility for a car pulling out will be able to, see everything as well.
But what about further back that would affect visibility? Is there-
No, it wouldn't. I mean, we could certainly, introduce some taller landscaping if that's, preferred.
Yeah, I think, if we're worried about the architectural detail, I'd rather look at landscaping in cars.
If you guys can provide at what foot, what area you'd like that to start, that's fine.
Yeah, I think that would be my recommendation of the planning board. I'll let the engineers be engineers, and determine what the setback should be, just, whatever's feasible.
Yeah, we'll look at the site triangle and just make the adjustment in the landscape height so that we're clear of the site triangles coming out of the driveway.
And just a question for the developers at large, and I'm not suggesting you change the site plan in any way, I know how far along you are. I mean, all things equal, would you rather have more first floor space or parking? And what would, in a perfect world, no minimum parking requirement, using all off-site parking, in a perfect world, what would you rather have?
Not having to worry about parking? Rather, I think we're getting up against it right now with people we've talked to about the first floor space. It seems too small. So some of the people that we wanted to bring in, even if we combined them, it's too small. So I don't think we can go much smaller on the commercial.
Yeah, I think maybe it's not for this application necessarily, but we only have so much downtown space, and to use that much of it for parking more cars, when I think a lot of this will be residential who park at night, whereas everyone else in the White Horse Pike is, the businesses are using it during the day.
Yeah.
And I know you have some shared parking now, which is better, because then this whole site would be a parking lot otherwise. And, the rest of our downtown is not like that, all the other stores. So, I think it's something to consider for our recommendations in the future is, why are we taking this prime real estate and putting cars on it? It doesn't seem like the right call.
I think that's one of the negotiations we have with the planning board throughout this process is this was the happy median between, what we wanted and what they wanted.
Great, and it's better than the alternative, which is put 13 spots.
Yeah,
So I think they started the right direction at least.
Yeah.
My preference would be, don't waste this and have less, it's not good for the tax base either. So I would have, in a perfect world, I would have moved all of this off-site, and there's plenty of parking up and down the pike at these businesses. And it just doesn't seem to be a great use of land.
Yeah, we hear, we've kind of heard different, as far as some of our meetings, as far as,
It's, the parking's always like the high. It just, it's a very poor land use overall, so I think it's something we can consider in future applications. I know this is pretty far down the road.
Yeah.
So,
I see what you're saying, Jonathan, because if you just assume that you're coming down the White Horse Pike and you have to stop there at the red light or something, and that is what you see, that's not the best look either. Yeah.
And if you look across the street at 200 White Horse Pike, their parking spots are right when.
Yeah.
Yeah, not to make, take shots at Cherry Hill, but there's plenty of Cherry Hill things that are just parking lot frontage, and that's not really the look we're going for. When you just look at parking spots, it doesn't feel like the commercial corridor, Main Street, downtown feel that most of the other downtown is.
Remember, has there been conversation with the, planning and zoning regarding the setback on that? Like on the lakeside?
Yes. And we've taken that into consideration.
Yeah, we've actually at one point increased the setback from, I think, 3 feet to 5 feet.
And the planning board voted against adding additional frontage on the White Horse Playground.
Say that again?
The planning board voted against adding additional frontage on the White Horse Playground.
Additional setback.
Additional setback, yeah.
It's a state road.
Again,
State.
I'm just talking about the planning board, you know.
Just asking about the state.
and, you know, it was kind of brought up across the street, 200, their building is set back, but their parking is actually at the same setback we will be in. So it's kind of the trade-off of the building being closer. If we go back any farther, that would have to be parked. And to your point, is that what we want in the front, or do we want the building?
Setbacks are for safety.
What was discussed at the planning board is basically, so across the street at 500 Station Ave, you have the parking, spaces in front of the building along the White Horse Pike. And I think everybody considered that to be fairly unsightly. And so it was the preference of having this presentation, which would allow them, they would have more parking in the rear of the building with the additional, or less of a setback on the White Horse Pike side. I think that was the compromise that you guys were referring to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's definitely better than what's happening at 5.
Yeah.
I said 200 before, sorry, 5
yeah.
across the street there. Of course, in my perfect world, we're not putting any parking there. We're past that. I understand that the compromise was struck elsewhere.
So it is, just for the record, it is now 5 feet? Is now 5.
I have to go back to the same one. I think an hour store is another 7 feet. Yeah.
I just had a general question about the sign. Are you guys married to that?
No. We just tried to, some sort of welcome to Haddon Heights, and just because that sign is there now that says that, but we're completely open to suggestions.
Because I would assume that those letters are taller than 6 inches.
Yeah, safe to say. Yeah. We could certainly reduce them as well.
I'm just wondering if it's appropriate on a building like that.
I do want to mention that this is part of the redevelopment plan in the town. And so they've been very good about working with planning board and getting feedback from them. So I don't pretend to know all of the nuances about it, but all of the variances that they might need from planning board, such as for the size differential on the lettering, wouldn't necessarily, like I said, they've been coming to planning board as discussed, but it doesn't necessarily get the same treatment as a normal application would.
I guess one thing is from a historic perspective, we don't have any other signage like that in town. It seems, in my purview, a little aggressive on the corner there.
Okay.
I think we could probably do better for a sign welcoming everybody to the borough.
We're open to all
We're open to
suggestions for that. Yeah, we just figure we have those words because those words are there now.
Right. I understand.
Yeah, we don't have to have anything. We just have the address. It's fine with us.
I like it.
Could you look at the,
Well, once everybody's done speaking, we'll open it up for public comment.
Okay.
I think you've done a good job with it. incorporating the, sort of the vocabulary of architectural styles in the Main Street Station Avenue. So, any further upgrades to the facade, I think it's hangout had always been this, the traditional setbacks all along the White Horse Pike houses. That's already been reviewed by planning board and accepted, and there's no point in my objecting. Right?
You can only maintain the position, but it's an issue that's already been considered by the plan.
So I guess we have to think about this, they're calling this the final Historic Preservation Commission meeting on this. I guess we have to decide as a group how we felt about the lettering, their signs or whatever, because that isn't our purview to be doing that. So we really should leave with that, or have them leave with that when we're finished. So we need to talk about that. And I think there was one or two other things maybe that we were talking about maybe. So write it down if you whoever came up with it, and then we'll go over it again. Anybody has any more questions on this yet?
Yeah, I think we should at least put on considerations for whether or not the back of the building is gonna maintain the siding as shown here, or if we're gonna go all brick. The welcome to Haddon Heights sign. I would also add the conceptual mural. I think we probably want, I don't know if we want to obtain jurisdiction for that or anything else, just another meeting for a mural, but.
I think the mural, correct me if you guys know, I mean, I don't know if that doesn't have to be
Right, that's not-
built. It would come back later on.
Yeah, I mean, and it could be blank, we just figured.
It'd just be brick.
Yeah.
Right, I think, if at some point you decide to paint it
Yeah.
or change the appearance of it, you'd have to come back. But I wouldn't want to hold you up on,
Yeah, exactly.
have an hour debate on what kind of mural should be on there.
Yeah, right, it's not mural time. So what's this table? So, yeah, I think definitely the brick, we're gonna need to make a recommendation on and the signage.
Also the landscaping you mentioned for the
buffer landscaping.
Yes.
Yeah.
Forgetting my own recommendations.
I just had two, well, one of the problems was the setback. I am a little bit concerned about that. I would like to have that a little bit more, but that's kind of already in the plan, so. I did notice on the landscaping though, because again, that is something that we're supposed to be responsible for. I'm even wondering if it wouldn't be a good idea to just have, when we get to the end product, I'll say, to have you come again to us for some of these things like the brick or the size of the sign or whatever it might be. Because I was just curious about one of the trees, you're showing two trees only on Station Avenue. Within little setbacks, some kind of a little three-sided section, I guess, of some soil or wood chips or something. But because you're so close to the sidewalk and the street, that does seem like that might be a problem. I'm all for trees, I'm on the shade tree commission, so I'm definitely for the trees, but I'm wondering about pedestrians walking by, if this is going to be a problem with these trees. There was a lilac, kind of a lilac tree. And even though the size maybe would be okay for the end of building, the actual, it shows on this picture, but I don't know that it would show on that picture, the actual trees. Because the trees itself would be starting lower and would be hanging into the pedestrian area. So I would only ask that, maybe when you get to that, when we get to the landscaping, and we could talk about that.
I can comment on that. So the trees that are gonna be proposed there are not gonna be ones that are going to have limbs under 7 feet. You know, if something did, you know, you limb them up, but they're ones that are more of an upright habit because of the width of the sidewalk. We're actually maintaining the streetscape treatment that's out there currently with the combination of the concrete and the brick wraps around the trees. It's the setback to the buildings in that area that are out there currently are similar. So I don't believe there's gonna be any issue with pedestrian passage through there. You know, you've got about 10 feet, the tree is in about 3 feet from the curb line. So you've got a good 6 feet of area, you know, to walk past there. And,
I believe there's a tree there now.
there is.
With a storefront that'll be similar,
Yeah, but this building will be closer to the sidewalk.
not on station.
No.
Right at the corner there?
No.
Yeah. It's on the same plane that the dentist office is next to us. So it's there currently.
You want to flip to page 2? So we can see that. Page 2, they have the existing building shaded there.
Page 2,
Yeah, that's good.
this one right here.
Yeah, so you can see the frontage of the dentist's office, you know, next door to us. And actually the little curved, you know, tree planter area.
I would like to see some more landscaping in maybe some bigger bushes or something around, because for that whole big property, I only have the two of these smallish trees. Just doesn't seem like it would be enough to maybe soften it in the places where we might like to see it.
And if it's possible, just submit those recommendations. I really don't think we could come back again at that point. We have to push forward with this.
Sure.
so-
No, I'm talking about down the road again, just when you get down to the end.
Now, you're talking about strictly Station Ave, or you're talking about the White Horse?
No, I'm talking about both.
Because they were saying on the White Horse Pike side, they don't want much because of the sight lines for the kids.
At the corner.
Well, the other,
So it's kind of been some conflicting, viewpoints.
introducing 1 or 2 more street trees, I really don't see as an issue whatsoever. You know, we do have some underground utilities on that area along, you know, the White Horse Pike related to the traffic signal and so forth. We just gotta be cognizant of not conflicting with those. But we've got a reserve strip out there, a lawn reserve strip, so certainly, you know, adding a street tree or 2. And now there'll have to be ones that are lower habit, because we've got overhead wires up higher. You know, we don't wanna do what was done traditionally 20 or 30 years ago. We planted Bradford pears that grow right up through the wires and so forth, but there are plenty of options for, you know, say ornamental style trees that fit into that 15 to 20 foot height range that are compatible with, you know, with the overhead utilities too.
Yes,
So,
yes, but I would like to, maybe even if I could come to planning board, or one of us could come to planning board at the very, very end. Because when I looked at the trees, the 2 trees, it says that they grow best in cool summers. Sorry, it goes best in cool summers. We definitely do not have cool summers here in New Jersey. So anyway, it's just a thought, because if we're only gonna be able to do 2, I would like to have 2 that really would do well there.
sure, and I'll say this, the trees were selected by a landscape architect, and there's gonna be a landscape architect reviewing them for the board. So we're not married to the species that was there. We picked something that we thought was appropriate, but, you know, it's not a bit unusual to go through some back and forth with landscape selection in the planning board process.
Right,
We're-
so I just
we're
want that
open
to be included with the landscape.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just want to
Yep.
make sure, because I would like to see more rather than less of anything on there.
Take a poll on where we are.
Yes, I think so, but we're going to tell that we're going to ask the public if they want them to speak right now. So I just want to make sure we all have all of our questions done. Okay, all right. So this, thank you very much for your presentation. I know you've been very patient with us. You've been back many times. We recognize your faces, you know. So we appreciate you working with us. So, but this time, we're going to ask the public, anybody has anything that they would like to say, please come forward and give us your name and your address.
Good evening, I'm Colleen Benaz, I live at 129 White Horse Pike. So I am one property over on the White Horse Pike from that corner. The one thing I would like to suggest, because that beautiful rendering that was put up at the corner of the building, which is a really nice building, it does take up the whole corner. If you had a rendering of the other three corners, you would realize how different that looks. Completely different look. Everything else sits back, it sits back well, and has just a very different look. So while it's very nice, it's a massive building going where we don't have them. At one meeting, they talked about this would be like the gateway to Haddon Heights. And that's a lovely idea, except the gateway isn't opening. This building encroaches. There are several things to think about. And one of them I brought up before was about the safety. That is the intersection where the children cross to and from school. And it's on that side. There are many accidents at that intersection. This will definitely change the sightline. And I know the first floor is set back, but what's supporting that? There's still pillars. Am I wrong? Yeah, there's still pillars. It is going to impact the sightline. You're talking about children, bicycles. I can see from my kitchen window and crossover station, White Horse Pike, and they love to chime the light. And there will be no split second to help. There's just, you're cutting off the sightline. When you're talking about the landscaping, we're diminishing the landscaping because where there's a lawn presently, that will be built upon on the White Horse Pike side. So the problem, which they rightly point out with the island area toward the White Horse Pike after the sidewalk, does have a lot of utility boxes. I think you're very limited in what could go there. And you also wouldn't want bushes that get too high, because again, it will ruin any kind of sightline. There's nobody along the White Horse Pike that has anything out in that island area. Nowhere. Go along that whole White Horse Pike. This is very, very different. You're talking about the parking spaces, and oh, we shouldn't use that parking spaces. You're taking an area that had very few apartments and putting 12. They have to park somewhere. And that is not enough. Would you want to be a business owner downstairs? Where are you parking when you get to work? Are some of those parking spaces for the owner? What about the people that work there? This is the whole picture. I'm just saying, when you're talking, they put up the picture of how this looked and when it's massive. This is what I'm saying to you. This is big for this area. These are all the problems. And you're now starting to see, well, we really need trees. We need things. Well, you've taken away the area where there are trees because you want a bigger building there. That's why what was there was there. Everything on that corner sits back considerably. Take a good look. And this does not. It just might not be the appropriate place. I know there are other buildings that are 3-story, but they're not on those corners. They are not. I know the dentist up the street from me wanted a third story. They didn't let him have it. So I don't know why, I just think you need it. It's big for that corner with a lot of problems. They're just putting out all these articles now about we need help with the sewage, our lines have to be redone and all this. And we're gonna add 12 apartments where there's presently 2, 3 that aren't really even being used. That's a big, big change. And I don't know that it supports all of that. I don't think we're there. So these are my concerns. It's been brought up before, some of these things. Some of them are still being talked about. I know they've tried to address some of these things, which is appreciated. The other thing, the fourth floor up there, what kind of lighting is going to be up there? Is there going to be lighting up there, shining over in my house?
No. There will be small accent lighting on the ground, just to obviously make
On
sure.
the,
On the roof deck?
on the roof deck?
Yeah, there will just be accent lighting around the ground level, to make sure no one, trips and everyone can see where they're
So
walking.
there'd be no uplighting, nothing?
Yeah.
Okay. That's it.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll sit because I guess it's better if I sit through my, Bob Hunter, 213 Second Avenue. I have a question and maybe 2 comments, if I may. Tell me more about what the blue material is. I looked, I read, but I didn't then research what it was. How durable is it? It's been around for a long time.
Yeah, so
I
it's
may have
called,
heard that maybe they're not using it, but I couldn't hear it.
yeah, so the blue material, it's a poly ash panel. So it's a very strong, durable material, very similar to just like a wood panel. It's completely rot resistant. It's a very stable material. It doesn't expand and contract. It's even so stable that you are allowed to actually put it below grade. And it can take as much water as you want. It's from Duration Millwork. If you want to look them up, they're actually from New Jersey. But it's a poly ash is the actual material.
Thank you. The 2 comments, and I don't know, well, the first one, I believe there's an ordinance that would prevent them parking on the White Horse Pike in front of, if that was the front of the building, as was being discussed. I think that would cause another variance to go into place, because I think there's an existing ordinance saying you can't park in front of your building. Just a comment. And I went through all the other meetings, and I was one of the people who said I thought this building was too big for this particular site. That has been resolved. You, the planning board, mayor and council, and redevelopment has essentially said this building can be built as proposed in terms of the actual building. So what we're discussing tonight, I believe, and correct me, is the skin of the building. Now, I know you listened to, it's too massive, it's too big, and you were very responsive in terms of the bays, and I'm conflicted about the bays. You may or may not like what I'm about to say. Having all that work, if I were going to look at a design of this building or the original building, I don't know if you prefer building the original building, but that's what I would prefer. It's more contemporary. I don't know if it's going to fit in any better or not fit in, but that's my comment. I prefer the original proposal, and I did go back and look at that, to the skin of this building. And, I think throughout this, for what I could see, you're proposing using very good material. I think it's going to be a structurally very sound and premium material building. So I'm grateful for all of that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Thanks.
Good evening, I'm Dan Knapp, 217 Ninth Avenue. I just have, I guess, one question, I don't know who. I was very comfortable with the beginning part of this meeting and the presentation. I got a little confused when we talked about sightlines. When I look at that proposed corner, just from memory, and this is not what I do for a living, it's kind of congested now. When I see kids there, I don't see it as the best sightline view. Are you really encroaching at all to the current corner of what I would call the AT&T building? Is there any difference closer to the corner of the Pike and Station Avenue?
Yes.
Does that make sense?
So the current building, as far as Station Avenue is concerned, is right up on Station Avenue. But there is a yard area on the White Horse Pike side.
That's up a little off Station on the corner, right? That's up a half.
No, it's,
Is it right
yeah,
there?
it's there. And now you've got the Welcome Hat Heights sign that sits out in that area, which actually could be construed as site obstruction itself.
Yeah.
But, the key to mention here, on that side, and, the right of way itself is about a little over 12 feet, and then we're bringing the building back another 5 plus that. So the building's 17 feet off the curb line, which, under AASHTO standards for sight lines, you actually want to be 14 feet back from the edge of the travel lane. And the travel lane's not right on the curb line either. So we've got more than the design standard for site. So, and, with the fact that while there certainly are columns coming down there, you've got open sight lines through that portion of the building also. So, I'm pretty comfortable from a design standpoint. And look, we've got to go to the state of New Jersey. The curb cut's getting moved. Now, it's getting moved further away from the intersection, which is a plus too. The current curb cut is probably another 10 feet closer to the intersection than where we want to be here, and getting further away from that. And look, I've lived in this area an entire life and done a ton of work in town here. I know how congested it is out there. Traffic is difficult. But I'm comfortable that as the building is set back and adding extra 5 feet on that side was an important change. It's frankly one I talked to these guys about before we got in front of anybody, So, I think we're good in that respect. So.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything they might like to? And so then we close that part of our meeting. All right, so somebody mentioned something about the parking spaces. You can figure out some other configuration for that or how to provide that?
I think we're just, they've already done a ton of work on this, so I don't suggest for this application they move anything at this point, but I think in the future, if we're making recommendations and there's an alternative to using up our downtown space and using existing parking elsewhere, I think that's a solution. You're not going to get restaurant style parking on any parcel in our downtown, but there are other areas to do that in downtown. If you go to a Collingswood, it's not like you pull up and there's 30 parking spaces around every restaurant. That's for a reason. It's not a big deal to walk a block or 2 or 3 to get to a restaurant if you have a viable downtown that people actually want to come to. We only have one, I would say, genuine sit-down restaurant on Station Avenue. I think that's I'd like to have more person, for my own personal selfish reasons, I guess. It's like, if you go to a mall, you're parking in a big parking lot, you walk 5 blocks to get to the interior, right? So it's, again, in a perfect world, I'd say do not use Station Avenue properties for parking. It's a very bad land use. But, so, sorry, that's my long-winded answer, Carolyn, saying I wouldn't make any recommendations on parking.
Yeah,
For this.
it certainly is, we're looking towards the future.
Correct.
It's getting going. All right, so then, the discussion was about the back being brick, not white, right, on the back of the building. Correct?
I
Tim?
I think the white broke up the mass of the building more than having it all brick, so I prefer the white. So,
And because you built so it broke up the mass of the building.
it looks like multiple buildings instead of one big one, from that perspective.
I thought the addition of the deck, I guess, was an effective method of breaking up the rear building, making it look less massive. I'm not sure, we only have the one rendition. Since you have that split in the middle there, I would personally, I would prefer the brick all the way across, because I think the massive size issue is addressed by that area in the middle. That's just my preference.
I'll just echo what Chris said. I don't think I'll say it more eloquently than he did. And I give a lot of deference to George, and architect by trade. So if it looks more consistent and better thought out, I think that's one school of thought on it. Is it doesn't look like it was slapped together or bolted onto something else. It looks consistent across the back. So my preference, I think both look pretty good. Like I think there's a lot of thought put into it, but my preference would be for brick as well.
Okay, then why don't we put that as one of the things that we want to vote on to see whether we want to include that in the recommendations. So,
Well, I think
Richard, you do something like
I think we could just do a thumbs up, thumbs down on whether it's, on whether it stays brick or white, and then when we make the overall motion, we include the vote tally in that motion.
I'll just say, if you're in favor of the building being all brick in the back. Yes? No?
Thumbs up for me.
Okay.
I'm in favor.
I'm not,
I think,
what are you?
Passed.
because overall, because the way I look at it is, overall, we're going to be making a recommendation to either the planning board and or council. So those respective bodies should see our overall opinion based on the number of votes. So if it's 4-1 or 3-2, whatever it might be, they should know that.
I agree.
So we have to take a position.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll go with brick.
Okay.
You go with brick. Okay, so then, how about the signage? The welcome at nights. Too big? Would we recommend that the lettering should be smaller? Or even not even have the welcome at night?
Try to give us your thoughts.
Personally, I think there should be a sign there. I
think it's,
Does not?
yeah, I don't like using a building as signage for the borough. I just don't think it's a good idea.
I'm in favor of having it there. I don't think there's no other place to put it on that corner.
I've waffled on this one myself, go back and forth on, I think there was even a prior, was there a prior iteration than this one?
Just a different font.
Yeah. I think I'd come down on I'd rather not have it, just because it's different and it just doesn't, there's no other equivalent in the town. I think either way, it probably wouldn't upset me greatly one way or the other, but again, I just think it's a little bit different than anything else we've seen on Station Avenue.
Similar to Jonathan, I wrestle with this issue. I agree with a lot of what George said. An issue that we have though is currently at that corner, there is a large sign that says Welcome to Manhattan Heights. And I think it looks nice.
Station Avenue.
Thank you, Rose. And I think the loss of that, it would be unfortunate. So I don't necessarily think the sign has to be on the building, but I do think some kind of signage in that area would be a good idea.
We could do something smaller on that column, right on the corner. It's not a huge column, but if you still want some signage, I mean, that's, we're open to suggestions there.
Yeah, I don't.
Needs to be big enough for a drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't, and I don't, this is the kind of thing that I don't feel comfortable telling any applicant, what they should do with the exterior of their building. You guys come to us and tell us what you think, tell us if this is consistent with what the overall district should be, and we give our opinion on that. So I am reluctant to give any kind of recommendation on that.
Now, if you guys make a recommendation like on a signage, are we potentially opening ourselves to come back here for approval on the signage?
You are.
Well, I wouldn't do that to you guys. You guys have been here enough. So, and no, I don't think you would have to, because as I mentioned before, what we're doing here tonight is making a recommendation to both the planning board and to the council. And we'll vote on recommendations for these discrete issues, and they can make a decision based on that recommendation, so you wouldn't have to come back here.
Okay.
And, they might get mad at me for my decision on that, but that's a different.
Except the way things are now, we are responsible for signage. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
something
what
gonna
we're
change in the
considering.
future, but yes.
That's what we're talking about this now, so they don't have to come back.
So then, if what Chris is saying is, what they mentioned about putting something on one of the building, somewhere on the columns. I guess that's gotta be.
Right, I think that's what you're just saying, you're open, saying you're not.
I'm open to anything.
You're not proposing.
Not proposing it, just throwing out ideas.
You're not asking for.
Yes.
Yeah, so then, but therefore, we're just going to say that there would be no signage. That was what you felt, not that you wanted it some other place.
But I think our recommendation is just, do you want to see signage that's shown here or not? And to send that recommendation up to the planning board. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So Chris says no to Welcome to Night sign, and I also say no.
Do you abstain, Chris?
I'm going to abstain.
Well-
Because I don't have any recommendations on where to. So I'll pass. I know, I said multiple times, we should have every process, so it could be If the vote on this discrete issue can be 4 in favor, however,
Right.
the overall 3, 1, and then just one abstention.
Are you getting on this?
Yeah.
Oh, I have to read this, but, okay, all right, so then moving on. I don't know if anybody wants to say anything about having a mural there or not, whether we should just leave that.
I don't, they haven't submitted a proposal for any
Yeah,
mural.
we have no plan.
Just
If
the
that's
idea that
something-
it might be used as a mural for someday. Once that comes up, then
Yeah.
then we can consider that application.
John, you proposed taller, shrubbery back to the car. We have, good with that.
I'm sorry, what was that?
John proposed taller, landscaping
Mhm.
back when, you know,
Yes.
on display, it's
Sure.
safe to see.
How much further at the back of the building is there that butts up against the driveway for that next house, the law office there?
I'm sorry.
When we're talking about the back of the building as it goes back towards Audubon, we're looking at the back of the building. What is it at the end of, whatever it is, the driveway?
It's parking.
Yeah,
It's a-
yeah, over there, so I'm talking about, yeah. Yeah, so there's nothing, there's no area at all, if you ever wanted, there was,
Oh,
said we want to
no.
talk about put the sign there or something.
3 feet.
3 feet, okay, thank you. Okay, so then we've got all of these, I guess, that now we should, we'll vote on each one. No, all right, tell me which one.
You want to give a thumbs up, thumbs down, something that's given.
Because I didn't get it all
Oh, yeah, it's
down, I
on
only
the
got the
landscape.
one down.
On the landscape. Yeah.
Mhm, yeah.
And then we'll just do an overall motion.
All right.
And just to restate what my recommendation would be is make taller, taller screening, landscaping, up until the point that it doesn't affect site triangles or visibility, so. And, I'll give some deference to the civil engineers from that perspective. So my vote would be in favor of the thing that's proposed.
All right, John.
Agreed.
Same.
And also. All right, so that's all. So we have four pieces to this. So the first one is about the parking spaces. No, sorry, that's not right. No, that's not right. The first one is the back should be brick and not white. Correct?
No, again, I mean, we're not gonna, this isn't gonna be treated like a normal application that we see, for the approval of windows or a door or something. What we're doing is we're going, based upon their application, as you said, yes, we're just an advisory board to the planning board. We discussed the discrete issues that we have concerns with in their overall application. I think the overall recommendation would be to accept this application as submitted with the following recommendations. And for each of those discrete recommendations, planning board and council can see the breakdown of the votes, and then make a decision based on that.
Okay, but it gets then right.
When it gets to those,
Yeah, yeah.
at their respective meetings.
All right, so we have the back being brick and not white, and we have that. I guess that was
4 to 1.
yes.
So the rest of us said that that it was okay for it to stay brick the whole way across, correct?
Yeah.
You're not gonna say-
Just on the brick, it's on the rear.
Yeah. Let's see, and then the landscaping to have taller screening. Yes, we had. So it was 4-1 that we said that we wanted the landscaping to be taller. No,
I think I was-
5, yes, it was 5, it was 5. I wish you had your piece of paper. Where's Kate tonight? Yeah. Yes. So will a signage, welcome to Haddon Heights sign, or any sign on the building itself? It was 4-1.
Three to one.
3-1.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's okay, right. Okay. And then the landscaping that you would like more of it, basically, right?
Yeah, it more
We
screen.
would suggest, yes,
Taller
maybe,
screen.
yes, we would suggest. More screen. Okay. Okay. So, and then you're gonna abstain.
No, just on, no, just on the sign. Just on the sign.
Sign, okay.
That is looking for the left.
It did, it really did, I tell you, whoa. Okay. So then it's gonna be about the brick is going to be, you're gonna recommend that the back of the building should be all brick, all the way across, and not to be opened up by 2 other white sections. Okay. That's okay, so that was 4-1. 4-1. What did you?
One motion.
Go for it.
I'll say what,
Oh, these ones, because my scribbles.
I'll say what's been said. Okay, I make a motion that we approve the application with the following recommendations. One, that
Can
the-
you make everybody there you go.
I move that we approve the application with the following recommendations. I'm losing my voice, sorry. One, the landscape be taller in the area that hides the car parking out to the point where the engineering says it needs to be short for visibility as you pull out of the parking lot. Number two, that the siding material in the back of the building be all brick. I'm sorry, let's go back to landscape, that was unanimous. 5 years. On the back of the building, the proposal as submitted shows different siding material, brick on part, white on another part. Our proposal is that it be all brick on the back. That was 4-1. As far as the signage is concerned, where it currently says, "Welcome to Haddon Heights," we propose that there be no signage on the building. And that vote was 3 yes, 3 for no signage, 1 for keeping it as is, and 1 to abstain.
I will second your motion.
And with that, after the meeting, if you want.
Thanks. So it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good. Okay, those opposed? All right, so those 3 things then, we passed. And thank you for coming.
Thank you for your time.
Glad to
Thank you, guys.
help you work through this.
Thank you. Thanks.
Oh, I'm good. This is my business partner. This is Derek. Thank you.